Well, in five, four, three, two, and we are now live. Welcome, family. Welcome to the rehash, renewed, Waking Giant News Show. Okay, family. I want you to welcome today, Brother Chamikis, of the Phoenix Local Organizing Committee for Justice, or else. How you doing, my brother?
Oh, wonderful, brother, and yourself?
Excellent. Thank you for joining me on this show, man. Our repilot, our rebranding, rebroadcasting of the Waking Giant News Show. Now, let me explain to the audience really quickly why we even why I took the time and you and I actually brainstormed about this um, to actually go this route. As we can see, man, time is speeding up. Things are happening in the community, and
Yes,
a
sir.
whole bunch of narratives are being thrown out there about us as a community, Black people in particular, as a community, and it's really um, time, man, for us to recapture that narrative. It's
Yes,
really time for us to counter the things that we're hearing in the community. We are, I am also part of the Phoenix Local Organizing Committee for Justice or Else. I am the chair of the Ministry of Information. Welcome, family. I am Brother Jay. Okay. And this is yet again another effort of the Phoenix Local Organizing Committee to reach out to the community and to provide another service. And this service has to do with what you're seeing right here, providing information. We're going to let our community know. After you hear this discussion tonight, family, you'll see why I had to relaunch this show. We had to relaunch this show in this new fashion and get the word out, keep the drums drumming, keep the noise going. We like the children of Jericho. We're gonna keep circling the city until the walls fall down. Just by the
that's right.
noise that we make it. You know what I'm saying? They had the
Right.
tambourines, they had the song, everybody was shouting and screaming and praising God. And what happened? They walked around that city just like he told them to do. The walls fell down and they were able to go in and retake what was taken from them.
That's
So,
right.
hey, that's just another allegory for us as a people. And you know what? It makes me happy to be around at this time to even be able to contribute, honestly, brother, to the community in this way. Being able to use my ability to disseminate information, my ability to read and interpret information, and to give it back to the community at hand. Um, Using that ability to really put forward the effort to recapture, as I said, the narrative, man, to bring us back to who we are and to bring us back to where we need to be. But first, we have to know where we are right now and today. And I'm sure you noticed, man, this last week has been, I'll say these last 2 weeks, really has been off the hook. At this point, I just couldn't just continue to watch the news cycle go and not say anything. I mean,
There's a lot going
we can
on.
take our pick. We can take our pick, right? We can take our pick on the things that are happening in the community. Well, let's take it from the latest thing that just happened. Juneteenth was just now declared a federal holiday.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel about that, brother?
Brother, it's in the nation we have a lesson, and in the lesson we say, "Why does he love the devil?" And we say he loves the devil because he gives him nothing, right? So this is symbol without substance. The symbol without substance. It's another one of those plays on the emotions of our people, but there's nothing really behind it, right? In the midst of us talking about reparations, right? In the midst of us talking about critical race theory and that being shot down, in the
Mm-hmm.
midst of everything that's happening that we're actually making real demands for, this is offered up to us, in my opinion, as a distraction. And I'm not saying that it's not a small victory in some senses, but it's not really what we want. It's no different than naming streets after Dr. Martin Luther King, but what he asked for has not been given to the people. The Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevards are in some of the poorest, in worst neighborhoods in the country.
Yeah,
You know what
some
I'm
of the most
saying?
ratchet areas of the city.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So it's that same type of concept when you talk about making Juneteenth a national holiday. You know, what are we getting from this? What is our benefit from this?
yeah,
Other
that's
than
the question.
symbolism. We need much more than symbolism.
I mean, I believe we're past that, so far past that. Brother Malcolm was talking about that in the '60s, man. You know, so you know, it's at the point now where it's beyond. It's laughable. It's ludicrous. It's unnecessary. Like you said, we didn't ask for it, nor do we need it. What is the point of declaring Juneteenth a national holiday when most Black people don't even celebrate Juneteenth? Number one. Number two, why would you make it a federal holiday for everybody?
Right.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you make it a federal holiday? Everybody didn't go through slavery, so why is everybody getting a chance to celebrate this? It boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. And to look at the photo of the elders standing over, Joe Biden sign a document declaring what happened to the George Floyd bill. He made a promise. Didn't he make a promise that the George Floyd bill was going to be signed, within his first 100 days in office?
I don't remember. The bottom line is it hasn't been done. So, brother, it's a strange reality that we're in, right? Because what you're looking at, and I'm glad you brought up George Floyd, because what you're looking at is America, particularly white America's effort at appeasing Black people. And George Floyd, to me, was like it was like when they attacked our brothers and sisters on the bridge in Selma. I believe that was Selma, Alabama, right?
Yep.
The whole world is looking. And when George Floyd killing was shown, it was shown around the world. The world erupted, right? And now you have this effort to appease us, this effort to look more humane, this effort to be to place us strongly in this post-Trump era, right? And you got all these activities going on around the country that are designed to do that. They're going to put us in this post-Trump era. But when you look at the substance of it, as I talked about earlier, when you look at what's happening on the ground, when you look at what's still affecting our community, right? These hardcore issues are not being touched. These deep issues are not being touched. You're still looking at $1 million police budgets and looking at thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars going into housing, right? There's something wrong with that, right? When you're looking at America having a housing crisis, when you look at the mental condition of, and I'm gonna talk about not just the mental condition of the country as a whole, right? Because we know how it is in Black America. When America gets the cold, we get COVID. When America get COVID. So if it's a mental strain on America, if it's a financial strain on America, then what is it for us? What is it for us? What's the stress level that's going on in our community, right? So if you're going to do something for us, right? Because Juneteenth was supposed to be the freeing of the slaves, but when you really look at it, Black people have really barely gotten their citizenship in this country in the last 40 to 60 years.
Right.
So we don't even have to go back to 1867, right, and look at emancipation or Juneteenth 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was delivered, Black slaves in Texas being free. We don't have to go back that far.
Absolutely. Right? Keep going, brother. Keep going.
Yeah. We can go back now for us 40 to 50 years and see that very little real progress has been made for our community. They're projecting that by 2053, that Black economic growth will be at 0%. So we don't need a holiday. We need a financial boost in our community. We need business development in our community. We don't need somebody giving us funds through these stimulus bills, that this money is going in our pockets and into Walmart's pocket, right? This money is going in our pocket, into Ford's pocket. We need, when you talk about reparations, when you talk about repair, when you talk about giving us something, right? We're talking about giving us something substantive that we can use to build the economy of our country. You just talked about, we just did Juneteenth, but they just threw off the table reparations for our brothers and sisters in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and their families for the very real massacre that they went through, even though Biden went into Tulsa and spoke on that issue, right? In terms of how it was heinous and how it was horrible and how it was wrong. But at the same time, the question of reparations was being taken off the table for our brothers and sisters in Tulsa when they made the demand for more money, right? So, yeah, there are so many issues that are affecting our community. The health disparities that are affecting our community, the economic disparities, the educational disparities that are affecting our community. These are the things that we need. We don't need more symbolism. We don't need somebody patting us, what they say, I don't know.
Patronizing us.
Yeah. They pat you on the back and kicking you on the other side.
Yeah.
Or Malcolm said that they put the knife 9 inches in our back and pulled it out 3. It feels good, but we can't build for our people off of feelings.
Absolutely, so, can't eat feelings.
Yes, sir.
Can't eat feelings, man. And I didn't mean to cut you off, brother, but that's where we fall short, and that's where we've fallen short for decades and decades and decades, man. We've given into this idea that we still want to be accepted. We still want to be, please look at me. Please look at me. I'm a good person. We're not what people are telling, still feeling the need to have to prove ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And not recognizing the literal disrespect of this man standing in Tulsa, Oklahoma, rehashing the history that everybody already knew, but has not signed a document saying, here's how we're going to make these people whole. Why you got these centenarians out there, okay? Brother and sister, they were actually a brother and sister. One was 107, one was 100 years old. I think the sister was 107 and her brother was 100. Having them in them wheelchairs, listening to all of that singing and dancing and watching the Congressional Black Caucus party and shake their behinds for what? And what did these old people get? They waiting for their money. That old lady was like, we haven't been paid back for this. Where's our restitution? We don't need a proclamation. We already know what happened. We don't need you to proclaim, this date. We already know. What we need is restitution. We need to be made whole. And why is it? What is the fear, brother? Why? I guess I already answered my own question. Why is it enough of us haven't stepped up and said, especially those in position to do so, hey, wait a minute. This is not, what are we getting out of this? Why are we signing papers? Where's the checks? Martin Luther King said, we come to get our check. So where's our check?
The question has to be asked. I mean, a real question. Are our elected officials really in the position to give us what's owed to us? Do they really have power? See, because there is a difference between real power and the appearance of power. And a lot of our elected officials have the appearance of power, but they don't have real power.
Mm-hmm.
See, when you look at the lawmakers and you look at the argument between Democrats and Republicans on passing Democratic or Republican agendas. Well, the question we haven't asked is, where is the Black agenda? And not only where is the Black agenda, but where is the Black agenda in the mind of the Democratic and the Republican Party?
Good question.
Because just like Democrats have to convince Republicans to go along with their thinking, and Republicans have to convince Democrats to go along with their thinking, and they have to lobby with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to make deals with each other. Then when we talk about Black elected officials, they have that same position. They have to lobby, they have to convince, they have to make deals with their counterparts to get those counterparts to pass bills that are in the interest of Black people. Now, reverse that. Has the Black community presented a unified Black agenda that elected leaders can go into Congress, go into Senate and say, for instance, these are the 10 things that we want. These are the 5 things that we want. These are the 2 things that we want. Or do they have to take the position in politics that the party agenda is bigger, the party agenda is bigger than what the Black agenda, even in theory, may be? When you talk about reparations, when you ask, why don't they study reparations? Why did it take them so long to pass a bill to study the effects of slavery, and if reparations was plausible? The reparations bill that they passed was not to get reparations, it was to study.
Right. HR whatever.
HR 40. Whether they're just studying it. Why was there so much resistance? What we have failed to realize as a people is that if reparations were repaid to Black people in this country in its real form, brother, they would have to deliver states to us.
Yeah, there you go.
They don't have enough money in Fort Knox. They don't have enough money in the Federal Reserve. They don't have enough money in this country to pay us for what we lost. If we think that the state of Israel is getting a huge check, imagine, now listen, they're getting a check for, I believe that the Holocaust lasted, 6 years?
About that.
Okay.
About that during World War II. So it's about 6 years, 7 years.
But chattel slavery, brother, lasted nearly 350 years, I believe.
Somewhere there about.
Then after chattel slavery, we went through a 12-year period of Reconstruction.
Right.
And then I believe in 1877, at the War Mill Hotel, a deal was struck. Federal troops were pulled out of the South, and Jim Crow came into effect. And then we go all the way up until 1968. From Jim Crow in 1877 all the way up to 1968, I believe, with the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. Then came the Fair Housing Act.
Yep.
Okay. Then came in, a few years later, the crack epidemic. I'm jumping now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm painting a picture here.
Mm-hmm.
Then the crack epidemic, we find under the presidency of Ronald Reagan, was funded by the federal government.
Huh.
But it decimated Black communities.
All around the country.
The current president helped pass legislation that put Black men in jail for decades, decimating our community of one of our greatest resources, which is our men.
Yep.
But all in the midst of that miseducation, all in the midst of that economic injustice, all in the midst of that inequality, all in the midst of that police brutality. So when you start tallying up what's owed to us as a people, then you say to the government of the United States of America, we deserve reparations. What does it look like? Okay, let's take it a step further. Then you go to the Arabs.
Mm-hmm.
And you say to the Arabs, wait a minute, there was an Arab slave trade. So now you owe us. And you have to be honest. Here we go to our African brothers and sisters, and we say, wait a minute, some of you sold us. Then we go over to Europe and recognize that the European banks and insurance companies made money off of our slave labor. So now we got to go to England. See, we're not looking at the worldwide ramification. Now let's talk about those of us who didn't make it to the States. Because if we're going to get reparation here in the States, and we're going to go to the Arabs, and we're going to go to England, and we're going to go to our brothers and sisters in Africa, what about our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean?
Mm.
What happens when they, okay, well, if they getting it, we should get it. I want you to really think about this. There are some studies that trace the history of slavery even into China.
Wow.
So now when you tally up what's owed to us and compared to what we have suffered, you can't put a monetary value on it. This is why, listen, this is why, brother. Tell me if I'm going too long, brother.
No, I'll stop you when I need to.
This is why Thomas Jefferson said, I tremble for my country when I realize that God is just and his justice will not sleep forever. Well, study Thomas Jefferson. Study Thomas Jefferson from the writing of the Constitution until his death, where he talked about what should be done about the slave problem. He felt that we should be freed in a separate state or territory of our own, and we should be given provisions, and we should be given weapons to defend ourselves. Study Abraham Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation. In that period of time, it was not the intention of Abraham Lincoln, honest A. It was never the intention of Abraham Lincoln that we would remain in the American society. It was it was Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass that were in disagreement, because Abraham Lincoln was saying, hey, now that y'all free, we need to get y'all out of here and put y'all in another country. Y'all should be a state in a separate state or territory of your own. At that time, Frederick Douglass and the leaders of that day, the abolitionist leaders of that day, did not agree with Abraham Lincoln, and they wanted a stake in this country because we had built this country. Rightly so. But it was never the intention. They understood that. Now let's go back to my last point. Let's go to the 40 acres and a mule. Go read the I believe it was the Secretary of State at that time. I can't remember his name. But when they met, and I think it was General Sherman, the Secretary of State, under Lincoln at that time, and 12 former slaves in Savannah, Georgia. When they talked about 40 acres and a mule, where did that come out of? When they asked those brothers, what do you want? They said, we want the opportunity to go for ourselves, to build with our own hands, for our own people. And then they asked him the second question, do you want to do it among white citizens, or do you want to be separated. They said, we want to be separated. They said because Caucasian people suffered from a sickness and a disease that it would take them centuries to overcome. So now, Thomas Jefferson, the writer of one of the writers of the Declaration of Independence, one of the founding fathers of this nation, he said separation is the best answer.
Yep.
Abraham Lincoln, the man who's credited with freeing the slave, he said separation is the best answer. The brothers who had been slaves in talking to the Lincoln administration said separation is the best answer. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said separation is the best answer. We have to have state and territory of our own. Why? Because as long as we are in this country among the dominant society, among the slave masters' children, we will always suffer, and they will only give us enough to appease us that is substance, that is symbolism without substance. We don't have to wait to figure out if they're going to now change in the next 50 years. They didn't change in the previous 50 years.
Previous 50, right.
Years, or the previous 50 years
from now.
Previous 50 years. So we don't have to, we got the study of history behind us. We can look in front of us and say the solution that's being offered is not the best solution. So when our brothers to see us upset, many of us over the Juneteenth, it ain't that we don't appreciate some recognition.
Yeah.
What we don't appreciate is the play on our intelligence and our wisdom as a people to believe that you think that we believe that you are giving us nothing, calling us something. You are urinating on us, telling us it's raining, and we recognize that.
Right. Those of us that are, yes, sir. Those of us that are paying attention, those of us that are not chasing the love of our enemy, those of us that are more interested in going along and getting along than being separate and doing for self. And didn't MLK actually say that separation? So why they quoting what he said at Washington D.C. instead of quoting, they gave away millions of land of miles of land, acres of land to these foreigners to even with the reparations talk, we see that even the slave owners, the former slave owners, got reparations for the loss of their property. Yes, so miss me with this Juneteenth stuff. Y'all can shove that, and we can move on to the next subject. So now, and well, it's kind of in the spirit of Juneteenth. I'm sure you've heard, brother, about the Korean guy that shot the little kid, the little black kid, out of his window, right? The little 6-year-old, right? And through the power of black media, we got this. The black media got this man, as a whole, as a collective, put back in prison and got that bail raised up to 100,000, where at least should have started in the first place. Cash bail, no 10%. So, what do you think about that, man? Like what I'm seeing right now, brother. To be honest, I'm starting to see kind of like a George Zimmerman type thing happening, man, where they're looking to almost elevate the Asian community, and they're not separating them Koreans, Chinese, Japanese, Filipino. They're not separating them like that. It's Asian. So what do you think about that, man? I mean, this dude seemed pretty comfortable with shooting a kid outside of his window, and and it was just done just too, yes, careless and reckless, but almost like, well, okay, I did.
I'm not gonna paint a broad brush, but I'm going to speak in general.
Yes, sir.
Now, they were saying that black people hated Asian people. and it was this big uproar that black people hate Asian people and that we were attacking Asian people in our community. But I just want to remind our audience that before COVID-19 and before Donald Trump started calling it the Chinese disease, we watched video after video, particularly of our black women being beat and dragged out of Asian stores and nail shops. It was a brother, I think he was in Chicago, Brother Tyrone. This video went viral of him coming to an Asian nail shop that had disrespected black women, and he threw a brick through the window. You remember that?
Yes, sir. Yes,
remember the sister that was in the store, and I guess they said she stole something, and they were pulling on her hair and yanking on her and beating her. See, it's always this effort, because when you're looking at black people, black men, black women, black children have been portrayed around the world as animals. If they're exporting our culture around the world, we bragging about it. One of the biggest exports in the black community is our culture. Well, what image are they giving of the world of us? Are they giving the world the image of us as doctors and lawyers and scientists? Is that the predominant image? When you turn on the television and you're watching Real Housewives of Atlanta, are they giving a sophisticated image of the black woman? When you listen to the rap lyrics that are being made, are they giving an intelligent image of black men? When you look at the portrayal of our babies, even, are they showing our children as little innocent boys and girls? Or are we made to look like thugs? Are our women made to look like wild, uncontrollable women? Just sex objects. Is the black man image that of a thug, of a gangster? So when you see the image, it gives you the idea of how these people should be treated. So when they talk about this reaction of black people, I'm not justifying any black man attacking anyone. Anybody who is attacked and they're innocent, they should not be attacked. But there should also be a recognition of the built-up, pent-up frustration of black people who have been done unjust and wrong by just about every people on the planet. Wherever you find us, we are oppressed. Whatever nation that we are in, we are mistreated. And it's worldwide, and it's systemic, because the worst victim of white supremacy has been the black man and woman of this world. And throughout the diaspora, we suffer the same. If you were to go into the Caribbean and some of our nations, you will see us being mistreated by the Indians. If you go into the continent of Africa or even into Asia, you will see the black man being mistreated. And if you go into the ghettos of America and you visit the merchants that do business and that wax rich off of us while we suffer in the ghettos. You will see us being mistreated by the very people that we support and patronize.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes,
because
sir.
we don't have
Yes, sir.
power and organization and unity, we are not able to push bills across the table the same as the Asian community were able to come together and push bills across the table, because the Asian is connected to China, and China is a power. The Asian is connected to Korea, and Korea is a power. The Asian is connected to Japan, and Japan is a power. They have nations that they are connected to that have not suffered the same oppression as the continent of Africa. And their brothers and sisters in the diaspora are able to speak and fight for them, whereas our brothers and sisters in the diaspora have to remain silent because they are funded by the very enemy that's oppressing us. So their lips are sealed, and they cannot speak as strong as others would be able to speak for the members of their nation, their country, because they have a diaspora. So I'm not justifying it. If an Asian person is attacked, that's not right. But let's not pretend as if there's no history there. So then there has to be a correction on both sides. There has to be a correction on both sides, because we ain't just the bad kid in class. We've been abused.
Exactly, but we have to be careful, man. We have to be careful. As I said earlier, we're talking about propaganda as well. And, you know, I'm of the mind that, you know, this Asian hate by the black community is false. The narrative is false. The people that are being, if you look at the videos, they're all the same freaking videos, number one. Number two, if you look at the people that's being accused of it, these are homeless people, these are people that's been in jail, in and out of jail, and these are people that were that are mentally ill, that have actually come out of mentally of facilities, ran up on in the streets by the police and said, hey, look, go do this. How is all of this stuff being done in front of cameras all the time? How is that happening? And then it's only happening in Chicago, New York, and you know, maybe one other place. Only in New York, Asians are being shoved to the ground. We got to think about this. And then, you know, this dude shoots this kid, man, and gets a $10,000, you know, bond. Are we being set up for a George Zimmerman type of thing, where now these people, as has happened in the past, these people come into this country? Because remember, during that same time period you were mentioning, it was a huge influx of people coming in from Europe, from Germany, from Scotland and Ireland during that time frame, from the mid 1800s to the early 1900s. You know, give me your huddle masses, your poor, and all of that stuff. Yeah, them people was coming over during that time frame. These are their grandchildren and great grandchildren now are telling us, hey, my grandparents, great grandparents didn't own slaves. They came over. Yeah, okay, but y'all reap the benefits. You reap the benefits. So, okay, I see you, brother. And then, you know, you reap the benefits. So, yeah, you owe us too. But I think the setup, man, is to set up these laws, to put laws against us, to protect the Asian community against us. And that right there, I think, is what we have to really be careful about, because you know as well as I know, the average brother in the street is not walking around pushing Asians to the ground, not messing with little old Asian ladies. We, if anything, we buying their clothes and eating their food. Well, I've decided to divest myself of that. But
we are some of the most forgiving, loving people on the planet. The proof is that if we weren't, it'd be a whole lot of people that would be getting pushed around and beaten, right? The only person that we seem to harm in great numbers is our own selves due to self-hatred. But you know, brother, there's always a narrative that's being pushed. And I don't know what the narrative is. I know, and you know this about me, anytime I see the news media pushing a story, I'm looking for the backstory.
Yeah, absolutely. Right off the bat.
Because in my mind, I'm thinking, Well, if they're saying this, or if they're pushing this idea, is something else that's going on. So I don't know exactly what's happening. I do, if I don't want to speculate, but I will say this much: there's a great deal of concern about American and Chinese relationships. And one of the major things to note, and this is done many times, it was done during the 50s with the Communist Party and the Cold War, but in more recent times, a lot of the election in terms of Donald Trump and the investigation with Russian interference, I'm using this as an example.
Mm-hmm.
It was not so much a concern that they were going to the voting booth tampering with the numbers. What the major concern was is that they were using the conditions in America to exacerbate tension in America. So they would post stories of these Russian bots would post stories of police brutality, right? They would post stories that dealt with what was happening with the black citizens in this country. Say, look how they treating y'all.
Mm.
America, brother, is in a very dangerous position because in truth, there is no country at this time that can threaten America. America is one of the few countries that can boast that it can fight not just the war on two fronts, but on many fronts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the biggest threat and danger in America is from within. It's from within. And we have to remember the scriptures. Some of us are students of the Bible.
Yep.
And it says, talking about the children of Israel, it says, come, let us deal with them wisely before they unite with an enemy and come against us.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know everything that's happening, but I do understand enough about America to understand that they are very wise in their use of media and media manipulation on the minds of the people to create a certain condition or to avoid a certain condition. And the fact that Russia understood that it can go after the minds of the citizens of America lets you know this is a common theme among all of America's enemies.
Mm.
So what would happen if the Chinese government would want to have a stakehold in the Black community and support the Black community in this or that effort? I'm not saying they're doing it because they love us. I'm just saying it's politics.
Right, politics.
The same as you can go and look and see that there were Russian government officials who were hiring Black martial arts instructors. Listen to me. They were hiring Black martial arts instructors, Google it, to come into the Black community and teach martial arts in the name of Black independence and sovereignty. But they were funded by Russians, and it's very public. It's no secret. It's not a conspiracy. So a lot of times as a people, we don't look deep enough as to what's happening on the international scene. We don't even understand what's happening with our brothers and sisters in the continent. We don't have an understanding of what's happening to our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. We don't have an understanding of what's happening to our brothers and sisters in Central and South America. A lot of times as a people, we make decisions and we move as if we are island to ourselves. And we've been taught and trained that way in this country. We've been taught in this country that we're the minority.
Mm-hmm.
When the truth of the matter is we may be the minority on the North American continent, but we are not the minority in the world.
Absolutely not.
Where the majority of the more than 7 billion people on this planet are black. And that's in every place you go.
Everywhere you go.
Right? So when
Everywhere.
your mind has been cut off, and this is see, when you talk about reparations, you said it, brother, it's repair work. It's reparative work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now our mind has to be retaught or retrained to understand that we are not a disconnected people. We are a connected people that move the economy of the world.
So
That's
it sounds.
loss. Yes, sir.
So it sounds to me that we're not even aware of our own power. We're not even aware of. We don't know how much power we actually have. Like an athlete, like a LeBron James. If he was like some other athletes, he would just be like an average dude. But because he's tapped in to his value, he knows how to use his platform, but he knows how to use his value like Michael Jordan does to shift the game, to make movements in the game, to make movements within the sport itself, and to make headlines. So my thing is, it's
I'm
through
here,
efforts. I see you. It's through efforts like this that we need to get to the community. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted you to go a little bit into what we're doing at the Phoenix Local Organizing Committee, because we're coming up on the end of the show. So I wanted to really talk about those two topics. And of course, we'll be talking about a whole lot more, especially what's going on in the continent with I believe it's called ECOWAS, or it's something with the African Union, where they were having a meeting in the parliament a week ago, all 54 countries. And these people almost came to blows, like several times. They actually did. A few of them, the leaders of these different African countries, came together, to have this big meeting so they could start planning on how to separate from Europe. And brother, let me tell you, it was the most embarrassing, contentious thing I've ever seen. And it's no different than what you see over here, in America, with how the Congressional Black Caucus, how people was acting, dancing like, I won't even go there, but it was.
Let me say this. Let me say this. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. I don't want to cut you off.
No. I just want you to briefly touch on that, and then go into what we're doing. Like I said, we got about 10 minutes, so we can touch on that, and then let's talk about the latest developments with the L.O.C.
I say this all the time. Y'all shows are too short, brother. 10 minutes. Let me say this to our people really, really.
Make your way to future content.
Yes, sir. Let me say this to our people really quick. Don't get lost on what you see taking place in the African Union, particularly the fighting. I want to remind you that the current world power, America and England, went to war with each other to start and formulate this nation. Then America went to war with America to create this nation in terms of what it is. That was leader fighting leader. That means they disagreed. And they didn't just argue and throw blows at each other with chairs. They threw bullets at each other and killed one another. They killed Americans in unprecedented numbers during the Civil War over the disagreement of ideas. And we don't even want to go into Europe and talk about the 100-year war that Europeans fought with Europeans. We are people who are coming up. And we're coming up from colonialism. We're coming up from slavery. And we're not far up. The revolution and independence of Africa from the colonial powers is barely 60 years old.
Right.
Barely 60 years old.
Barely.
So there are going to be 54 nations that argue and fight, and it may get worse. But if the European can come to some form of agreement of what the sharing of power looks like in established nations and established power, don't ever believe that Black people can't do the same, won't do the same, will do the same. I just want to touch on that very quickly. I know we only have 10 minutes. There's more you can say on that, but I just don't want our people to get discouraged by what they're seeing. The immaturity of leadership, even though I said a few things about our congressional leader, but it's immaturity in leadership. We are just now learning truly how to lead. Okay, so the Phoenix LOC. I'm going to try to say this, brother. You know, what we believe and what we think is this. We are born out of the Justice of the Earth movement, as many already know. It is the brainchild of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and others. The 9 ministries are the brainchild of the Honorable. And the idea is we have the ability as a people to shape our own destiny. We can be independent. We can be self-reliant. We have the knowledge and the skill among ourselves to do it for ourselves. There's nothing that we can't do ourselves if we unite and sacrifice and work hard behind each other to establish our own schools, our own farmland, our own economic power. You watching TWG, this is our effort. We're establishing our own news network. We can have our own health network with doctors and naturopathic doctors and surgeons and however you want to do it. We're some of the best educated people in the world. We are builders. We can build. So the idea of the Phoenix LOC is to build community based on that idea that we start small. We're going to learn how to grow food. We're going to open up a little summer school, and we have. We have grown our own food. We got our own land that we grow our own food on. We want to purchase land, but right now we got land that we're growing our food on in combination with other Black land owners, right? We have started our own summer school program, and we're now advertising. You look on our page for a K through 2nd grade teacher so that we can teach our own children. We've already started that process. You're looking at the Waking Giant News Show, which is the news network of the Phoenix LOC. We've gone into business ventures. We have the grassroots bookstore that we are part owners of, and we just had a program down there last night where we invited Black business owners who are part of a network of business owners that we are teaching through consultants how to do business, everything from accounting to social media. We have our partnership with Be More, and we talk about mental health. We have our partnership with our sister Elizabeth with the Be More Raw. We're going to build on that where she deals with health and health issues. We put out a pamphlet through our Ministry of Health that we teach defense. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be out there learning the movement, right, on how to defend and protect ourselves through our Ministry of Defense. What am I leaving out, brother? I just talked to my sister yesterday, my sister Karen. We talked about the space program. That's right, the space program.
Space program.
We are in the process of developing a mentorship that will allow our children to learn about the next level of technology from our Ministry of Science and Technology. We're putting that together. We want to have our own children interning on how to build rocket ships and how to get us to the moon and Mars. White folks ain't the only one that can go to our moon in our universe, right?
Our moon, that's right.
Our moon. This universe belongs to us, right?
Right?
So we believe starting small and growing big. We have something that we are putting together, a network of brothers and sisters that will teach you how to do independence in your own home. We're going to call it the Black Independence Network. I'm dropping that. real quick, and you'll see more coming out of that. You can't take the name. We already got a trademark. Okay. I can talk about it. But the bottom line, brothers and sisters, we know we can do it for ourselves. We know we got the know-how. We just have to build structure and organization in our unity. And be patient with one another and come together with love and the idea and the expertise to build step by step, piece by piece, block by block. Before you know it, all that we are asking for, we'll already be able to do. And don't think that the Phoenix LOC have left out politics. We working on that.
Oh, we getting that.
Before you know it, you're going to see the Justice Party. Because what we will be formulating is an independent Black political party to push the Black agenda. We ain't just talking about it, Brother Jermaine. You know this. We're being about it. Are we perfect in what we do? No. But we are taking the steps toward perfection. And if we are blessed with the wisdom of our Creator, on top of the work and the wisdom of our ancestors, if we are humble enough to stand on their shoulder, guess what? We'll be like Dr. Martin Luther King. I don't know to say that I won't get there with you. I hope I do.
Hope we do.
But we have been to the mountaintop and we've seen the promised land, and we will get there on the other side.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't have said it better myself, brothers and sisters. And with that, you know what I'm saying, you can see I hope I put the right website up there. I think that's the right one. Also, the businesses he mentioned, the Grassroots Bookstore, you have the Phoenix LOC, thephoenixloc.org in the chat. Also, feel free to feel free to share this content. You on YouTube, you want to hit that notification bell so you can be updated when we go live, because we're going to continue going live. We're going to continue to bring this news. We're going to continue to beat this drum, family. And with that, I have an ask. You know, the Ministry of Information, which I am the chair of, brothers and sisters, I am looking for writers. I'm looking for researchers. I'm looking for those who are okay. Thank you very much, brother, for the correction. So that's what we're looking for. We're like the brother said, man. We are addressing all the areas that our people are most affected in, and you know, we got the education, like he said, the food, the science and technology, the trade and commerce, the health aspect of it, of what's going on with our. So, like, brother, we not just talk. So, like, you're watching our effort right now, you know, and this is what we call love. This is what I understand to be love. You know what I'm saying? It's not just talking. We are, what I like to tell people is beyond the protest. Okay, yeah, you know, you got those that want to stand out there and protest, and that's fine. But now, what we gonna do beyond that? What are we gonna actually do, and not just say? What are we gonna actually do? So you're witnessing the doing aspect of what the Phoenix LOC is about by seeing the Waking Giant News Show. We hope that you do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, like I said, like the content. There'll be more content to come, especially from our other ministries who have so much value, so much to offer. We can only squeeze in so much in so much time, but trust and believe, we're going to be here more and more often. And feel free to comment. Definitely check out the website, the phoenixloc.org. Check out BeReadyPhoenix.com. Come by the Grassroots Bookstore at 1145 East Washington Street in downtown Phoenix, right next door, conjoined to the Afri Soul Marketplace, the only Black-owned store. The only Black-owned bookstore.
That's right.
Okay. In the state of Arizona, as far as we know.
New Mexico and Nevada.
And New Mexico and Nevada. The only ones in the Southwest with a bookstore other than that is in Los Angeles. And there are about 2 or 3 of them in Los Angeles. So we can do the same thing here, family. We can have 2 or 3, 4, 5, 10 grassroots bookstores all over the valley, should we choose to do so, just like the brother just said. So thank you for tuning in to our inaugural relaunch of the Waking Giant News Show. Brother Chamikas, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, brother, man. And
thank you, brother.
so much light. So much love to the community. Give us some closing comments, man, as we close out this episode, and be ready, family, for the next one.
Well, brothers and sisters, we did a lot of talking, but I just want us to understand that we got to move from the audience to actuality. We gotta move into movement work, right? So we want to invite all of you to be part of the Phoenix LOC in our work. We do have an orientation class that's coming up on July the 10th. If you're interested in joining the Phoenix LOC, again, go to the website, thephxloc.org, or you can go to our Facebook group page. Pinned to the top of the page is the form that allows you to sign up and be a part of the Phoenix LOC and really join in on the work. So let's get from just being audience member to actually joining into the work. And if you feel like I don't want to be on the front line, brother, or right at the bottom is a ticker tape, you can donate to the Phoenix LOC in our work. So I thank you, brother Jermaine. Thank you for this awesome show tonight. Thank you for pulling me out of whatever I was doing. Hey, brother, lie. I honestly didn't think I had nothing to talk about, brother. I said, but my brother had called me, so I got to come, right? So
hey, you know what? Hey,
you are
absolutely.
You're a blessing to this community in the work that you do, and it's much needed. Thank you, brother. And thank you all for tuning in with us.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, family, for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Ranking Giant News Show. Peace, family.
Peace.